Can you hear me? Jean, can you hear me? Jean? I thought I did that. Can you hear me at least? Okay, great. Progress. Okay. Let me see if I can find the thing. There's the... I just had it a minute ago. Here we go. Wait a minute. Where is it? Okay. Try and talk to me now. Oh, yay! There you are. So you don't have a webcam?
Yeah, it's going.
I don't see you.
It was going.
I don't see you. I see
your
name, but I don't see you.
There we go. Let's try this. There we go.
There. I can see you now. Yay.
All this manual stuff.
Oh my God. And this is the first time I'm doing this, so.
I know.
I'm trying to figure it out. It's very
You'll be a pro by the next time, right?
Well, God, let's hope so. I mean, I've got, what, 30 of these to do?
Right.
So I'm hoping I can figure it out between now and then. Sometimes this getting used to, wait a minute, which way do I turn it thing?
It's backwards, forwards? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing at the TV studio. I kind of go, how do I do that? So
let me see, what am I doing?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I got your book.
Awesome.
Okay. Right now we've got Mark Love and Troy Weimer and Michael Schwartz sitting in the waiting room waiting for me to bring them in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, if you're comfortable with that, I'm gonna
sure.
do that.
I know 2 of the 3, so we'll go with it.
Okay. Michael Schwartz is in my writing group.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And he's working on a novel and a collection of short stories, and I'm gonna help him publish. So
awesome.
Oh look, somebody else just came in.
Another human.
Kelsey Gwine. Yay! I just published her first debut novel just recently. So she writes horror.
Oh, awesome.
She's really, really good at it. So just to give you a heads up, because I'm a super big fat chicken, I upgraded my plan so that we can't run out of time.
Okay.
Which I think is a good idea. And then, you know, after a month, I can always downgrade it again. So.
Right. Okay.
And then I look like sheepdog, so I'm wearing my hat.
The benefit of having long hair, you just keep growing it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. As soon as I can get a haircut, I'm gonna. And then the other thing was my program for today is just simply going to be relax, have a good time, chat. I really don't have a program.
We're winging it.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan.
Okay.
Did you have any swag you wanted to give away, or did you want to do a giveaway or a drawing or anything like that? Or do you just want to have a conversation? I don't care either way.
I am actually announcing a new promotion for the rest of the year, starting this month, where anyone who can prove they've done a Amazon review for any of my books gets a free copy of ebook copy of my newest book that's going to be coming out at the end of this month.
Perfect. Everybody will love that. I got some more people that joined, so I'm going to let everybody in.
Okay.
And figure out how to unmute their mics, and then we're going to do this.
Awesome.
Sounds and then good. As people join, I'm just going to bring them in, and the room might get bigger.
We'll just hang together.
Yeah, that's my plan. Okay, here we go. Let's try it. Okay, so, hey, look, there's Peoples.
Hi, Peoples.
Hi, Peoples. Okay. So, I am all brand new at this, everybody, so welcome. I am going to try really, really hard to unmute everybody. Kate, feel free to give me pointers in the text thingy if you can hear me, and if you want to give me pointers, or if you just want to, you know, watch me fail, that's okay too. Okay, so I see Chelsea, I see Troy, I see Mark's name, I don't see Mark's picture, and I don't see Michael's picture yet, so let's see if we can. Hey, there's Michael, he's coming in. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Hey, there's Mark Love. Okay, just unmuted you, Mark, so you should be all good to go. Kate, I just unmuted you, so you should be good to go. I hope. I asked you to unmute.
I'm good.
Oh, yay, you're there. Yay.
Yeah.
So, hi, everybody. Welcome tonight's, Jean has been so good about letting me do this like guinea pig style with her. So thanks everybody for coming tonight. And I was just telling Jean, I'm wearing a hat today because I look like sheepdog. So I'm wearing my hat. The format tonight is really super loose and wonderful, and we're just gonna ask Jean questions. We're gonna have conversation. We're gonna talk about books. Jean's got a really fun thing she's gonna do. It's just a bunch of writers sitting around a table talking, except we can't sit around a table.
My laptop's on a table.
Well, yeah, mine kind of is too. So, hey, Mark, how you doing? It's good to see you.
Nice to see you guys as well. I'm sitting
Haven't
around.
seen you in a while.
I'm at my table. I'm at a desk in the basement here, and
Perfect.
trying to keep things going. So
Perfect.
this is how this is working, and see what's going on.
Yeah, this is the first of 32 of these things that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy about it. I'm hoping that as I do more of these, it won't be so cumbersome and weird, just like it was with Indie Reads TV. You know, the first couple of episodes of the TV show I did, it was kind of strange and weird, but now it's easy. This is a little bit weirder because I'm wearing a headset and I can't really hear myself, so so that's kind of odd for me. Hey, Kate, your real video's up there now. Yay.
Hello.
So thanks everybody for coming. Those of you, has everybody met Jean over here? Jean, wave, say hi.
Definitely.
You have.
So Jean wrote this really great book. I'm gonna try and see.
Ooh,
it's that
that's
mirror
pretty.
thing I can't do. So this
And a
is
really
Trust.
cool cover.
That's really
Yeah,
pretty.
it's
Yeah.
got a super cool cover.
Where has this been my whole life?
She's been what? Muskegon, Grand Rapids. Where are you these days?
I have been all over Michigan. So other than the UP, I've been all in lower Michigan for the past couple of years. So yeah.
So you're over Howell direction right now, right?
Holland.
Oh, I'm in Holland.
Holland.
Yep.
Okay. I knew it started with
So
an H.
use your hand. It's like over here, right?
It's right here. Yes.
Yeah.
Pull out your map.
Everyone consult your maps.
So, okay, we're just going to jump into this. Jean, I want you to tell me about Trust. It's book 1 of a
Yes.
series.
Yes.
I'm writing it down.
So, oh my God, Chelsea's taking notes. Okay, so those of you who don't know, Chelsea's a teacher in her other life. So
Yes.
I'm sure we'll all get graded, especially me. We'll get graded. But
Grammar and spelling are in trouble. So
Uh-oh.
yeah. The good thing about this though is that Chelsea works with special needs children, so I'm right in there. So Jean, tell us about the book and about the series.
Okay, so the whole series right now is 4 books. That completes the main character arc. All 4 books are written. I have Trust is the first book that came out, 2 years ago? And it kind of just starts Van's journey. He gets hired and finds out that he's hired on for a whole lot more than he anticipated he was being hired for. and he has to protect. I have intruders in my room.
Yeah.
He has to protect the woman he's been hired to be a bodyguard for, and then it finds out that she's only middle management, and her bosses have bigger plans for his whole homeworld and his whole star system, and they're not things he agrees with necessarily. So he has to find out how to sway those people to do what he wants without getting killed.
Okay. For those of you who don't understand, because what you just described technically could be any genre, can you tell us what genre you're writing in?
It is science fiction. It's actually space opera, if you want to get technical,
Oh,
because it does.
girl, you are
include-
selling it.
But you know, there's space battles, there's relationships, there's politics, there's assassins, there's action, there's a little of everything in there.
Well, see, so it really is a book for every man.
Yeah, there's a little mystery, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Okay. So, anybody have any questions? Just, on the start of this, or do you want me to, do the whole thing?
Well, I'll jump in with a question if I got one. Jean, you said there's 4 books in the series?
Yes, there are 4 books. The second book came out in January or February, in the dead zone when we couldn't do anything. I had got to one book event to push my brand new book, and it got canceled on like the first 2 hours. And so I haven't been able to be out promoting my new book.
That was
the second
Women's
book.
Expo, right?
Yeah, it was. The third book will be out at the end of this year, and the fourth book will be out in 2021. So they're all written. They just are in different processes along the way. The third book I just sent off to my last beta reader, and then it will go to proofreader, and we'll go from there. So.
Nice.
And is this the end of the series, or are you considering another one?
Well, I've actually started writing book 5. It's a companion novel, though. It's not related. It's the same characters, but it takes place between books 1 and 2. But it's different characters' points of view. What happens in that 5-year block? So it doesn't really impact the main 4-book series. So it's kind of, like I said, a companion novel.
Like a spin-off.
Yeah, it just kind of fills in the gaps of what happens during that period of time. It's a lot of character development. I'm kind of working on how to make it the same feel as the other book, because those books, the 4 books, are all told through Vayan's point of view. So it's all very personality, first person kind of thing, and then these ones are told through 3 different point of view characters that are the secondary characters in the main book series. So it's been fun writing in their point of views, because they haven't had a first person voice during the whole series, but trying to keep that same feel of the whole series with different characters is a little challenging.
I hear ducks.
You are correct. There are ducks. Would you like to see a duck?
I mean, Diana would be the one to hear ducks.
Do you have a duck within reach?
I do.
Really?
Hold
I've been looking forward to this. Hold on.
I would say Diana would be the one to hear the duck, though.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I thought that was a phone.
So for
That
those
was a
of you,
ringtone.
oh my God! So for those of you who don't know, Jean has 3 ducks. She has 3 of them, and it's so remarkably cool. I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even begin to tell you how jealous I am.
Well, you wouldn't be quite as jealous. Let's see if I can get him to calm down here. If you could smell them right now, because they're right on the other side of my computer, and they're a little pungent.
So would not care. So would not care. One of my favorite places in the world is in a horse barn. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, you probably wouldn't care.
Yeah, would not care. Gabriel and Randy have joined us. I have asked them both to unmute themselves. So
I'm
Randy
texting
Pearson-
Gabe. He's never used Zoom before. He's learning.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm
That's perfectly
troubleshooting
right.
on my phone with him.
Perfect. I'm chatting with other people on the computer while I'm doing this too. So no,
Multitasking.
Okay, so
I've never used it before either, by the way.
see, isn't this fun? We have such
My gosh, you
wonderful
guys.
excitement. It's just so much fun.
As a
Okay.
teacher, I use this thing more than I ever used my phone at this point.
Yeah, I was teaching in the winter semester at college here, and we got to about almost a halfway point, and all of a sudden everything was shut down. And they said, oh, by the way, now you have to do video conferences and teach your students that way. And I thought the only bad part about this, when I'm looking at the camera, I get to see me.
Yeah, same here.
My students having to look at me all the time.
Right, exactly.
This side, you know, but what can I say? It's
Yeah.
an adjustment.
For sure.
It is an adjustment, and I know, Kate, you use Zoom in part of your life as well as part of your business. So yeah,
Yep.
Don't judge me
Yep.
too harshly, please. Okay.
No, I've got all kinds of tips and tricks for you. I attended one of their Zoom actually put on a really great training yesterday, and they set aside 40 minutes just for Q&A. And so I was just frantically taking notes. There's so many cool things that they just launched that you can do.
Fantastic. Well, now we can meet in groups of 10 or more, so we'll have to get together and you can share your notes. Okay. Thank you, Jane, for
Will do.
showing me the duck. I really super appreciate that. I've just been going crazy watching you with those ducks.
They got
Okay.
big so fast too.
They did. They grew
did.
fast.
I couldn't believe it. They went from little fluff balls to like
They were fluff balls for like 2
full-fledged
days.
ducks.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay. Tell us about, is it Destiny Pills and
Destiny Pills and
Wizards?
Space Wizards. Yep.
Space Wizards. Okay. I
Close.
always get the title of that book wrong.
That's this one.
Yeah.
This is a collection of short stories. This is 16
Which
different
is,
short
by the way,
stories.
extraordinary, you guys. It's really extraordinary. Super
It's kind of a young adult collection. It's all ages friendly. And it's got everything from science fiction, fantasy, some paranormal stuff in there, a little bit of everything I write. They're all stories that were published over the past 10, 12 years now in different magazines and anthologies. So it's kind of a fun little collection of getting used to all the things I write.
Yeah, and it's really, really good. What I love about it is that it's so wonderfully eclectic. There is a little bit of everything in there. I don't know if everybody knows, but at the beginning of this year, I had some surgery, and I was reading it in the waiting room while waiting to get my blood work drawn, and it was kind of fun. So I read that, and I read Peggy Christie's collection as well. I had a lot of blood work done, and yeah. Don't read horror when you're waiting to get blood work drawn, guys.
No, probably not.
Good idea.
Okay, so anybody have any other questions for Jean right now, just off the top of your heads?
So that, was it Chain of Grey?
Yep,
That's number 2.
that is number 2.
How are the sales going on that? I mean, now with everything
Because I haven't been able to promote it a lot.
shut down,
Not very well.
the internet sales aren't trying to make up
No.
for it. No.
No, I do most of my selling out in person. And then those sales drive the online sales because I'm out meeting people and I can say, hey, you know, if you don't pick it up today,
Yeah.
you can go. And that's where most of my online sales come from because there are just so many hundreds of thousands of books out on Amazon right now. It's hard to be found unless you're out paying gobs for advertising.
Yeah.
I'm not. So
Yep.
I
I hear
prefer
you.
to push it myself.
That's, everybody in the room is a published author with the exception of Michael, who is an aspiring author. He's working on his first book right now. But have all of you found that to be pretty much status quo, is that you do most of your marketing in person to drive website sales or Amazon sales?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Events that I've gone to, Jean and I have done, must have been, what, 3 years or so in a row.
Yeah.
Always a great crowd. Last year was, but it was still a good crowd, and I had a lot of people that would stop by and talk to me about the books, find out. Some of them would buy them. Others would say, you know, I'm going to get it on an ebook. But I would see a spike in sales afterwards.
Mhm.
And it's always a good thing, you know, because I think that just ties in with connecting with people, whether they go to
Yeah.
like that just for the arts and see what's going on. And then they turn a corner and see all of these authors standing there, and it's like, I didn't know you guys were here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that I've been to a lot of festivals that I encounter the exact same thing where they're there for an arts and crafts show, or they're there for I did Heritage Days in Rochester last year, and there's a Civil War reenactment group, and then they come over the hill and they find us, and they're like, "Wait a minute, books!" So
Others books, yay!
yeah, exactly. So so. What else have you got on the shelf behind you, Jean? I know you have more than just the 2 books.
Yes, I have a dystopian book. This is a young adult dystopian, which is A Broken Race. This was actually my first book that got published. It was my 4th book that I wrote. I have Samara.
Wait a second. Let me interrupt you for just a second there. How did that work? 4th book, first published? Tell us that story.
So I started, goodness, back in high school, writing Trust, a short story that became Trust eventually 30-some years later. That was my beginner novel. In creative writing class as a senior, I'm like, I'm gonna make this a novel. And it was kind of a novella at that point. It was awful. And I put that aside and, you know, got married, had kids, wrote some other stuff that was also awful. And then eventually found NaNoWriMo 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my first NaNoWriMo novel was actually Samara, which was a fantasy novel. And I wrote that one and thought, wow, I could do this in a month and not like 30 years. This is pretty cool.
30 years.
It was a rough draft, but I'm like, I can actually get this done way quicker than 30 years. So I wrote that one, put that away. And then I forget what I wrote next after that. I wrote another book. And then eventually I wrote A Broken Race for my 4th NaNoWriMo and put that away. I ended up just writing things and putting them away, and I'd go back and work on Trust. And eventually Broken Race was the book I went out and started shopping first because I was still working on Trust. It wasn't done. It wasn't to a point I felt like it was ready to be published. So because it's quite an ambitious project to write a 4-book series.
Yeah.
And I wanted them all written before I started publishing them, because you have to go with a series. A lot of times you have to go back and go, oh, I needed to add this character from book 3 and seed that in book 1 and do some foreshadowing of this thing. And I didn't want to have to like go back and revise a published book and add those little things in later. So I wanted to make sure I had at least a rough draft of everything, the whole series done before I started looking at publishing things.
Okay, so I mean, I hate to state the obvious, but that means you're a plotter, not a pantser, right?
I'm really a pantser because I wrote all these books off the cuff.
Team pants.
I outline once I write the rough draft, and then I start going, okay, now I need to rein these things in and reorganize. But that's my fun part, is tying all those things closer together and sewing all the pieces and adding more things in, and that's where I get excited.
Sure, yeah. I used to write term papers that way in college. Write the paper first and then write the outline, because the outline was a required component.
Yes.
Yeah.
And art where you actually do the painting and then make the sketch. No, I started with the sketch, really.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yep.
So all 4 books in the series are written.
Yes.
Are all 4 published?
No. Trust has, the first one was out, Chain of Grey is out, and Bound in Blue will be the next one that's going to be out. Hopefully, I'm aiming for November. Hopefully, we have Grand Rapids Comic-Con. That's my plan to release it there. And then after that, Seeker is the last book in the series, and that still needs to be finalized. It's done, but it's sitting and waiting for me to do a final run through before I send that to beta readers. But
sure, yeah, makes perfect sense. So, off the top of your head, I know I've asked you this question before. Give me favorite part, least favorite part of your writing process. If you can work ducks into the conversation, that'd be awesome.
My least favorite part is actually sending it out for other people to read, like the beta readers into my critique group. I mean, it's a very necessary thing, and I love when they get back to me and the things that they comment on that they think are just like random comments, like, oh, I think this is going to happen, or what if this happened here? are the best things ever because they inspire me. But the act of actually sending that thing I created out for these people that are going to be critical and asking them to be critical to read it, that's nerve-wracking, man.
Sure, yeah.
So that's probably my least favorite part. My favorite part is editing. Love the editing, especially the first and second edit. Once you get that rough draft and you really get to start getting in there with all that clay and putting it together and really making it pretty, and that's best.
Okay, so you are a weird duck.
Yes, I am.
You actually like the editing part.
I do.
You
I love it.
wacko.
The duck is playing with the dog's toy right now. Sorry, it's very distracting.
You know, you got to give him a second webcam for the next time we do this, and point it at the duck. And
Well, it is sitting next to some duck poop also, so that's just not as attractive looking. But yeah.
I don't care.
Take your word for it.
Okay, so at the beginning of this, we talked about, before I brought everybody into the room, we talked about you have a special promotional thing.
I do.
Can you tell us about that?
I can. Okay, so to help promote reviews on all my books, because Amazon reviews kind of like help sell books in a big way. And a lot of people, I mean, I know I do it too. I read a book and I'm like, okay, next book. And I forget to go online and actually like put a review up because it really helps indie authors putting those reviews out there.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So I have a new book because I don't have enough books. My newest book is going to be called Dreams of Stars and Lies. It will hopefully be out the end of this month or beginning of January, July. Yeah, July, that's the word. It is a short story collection, another one. This was all science fiction stories. There are 5 of them. It's actually, they're all longer stories though. It's actually about the same length as Destiny Pills that has 16 stories, but it's only 5. And these are never before published stories. Hello, doggy. Is that Charlie?
Charlie.
Uh-huh. And so anyone who can write a review of any of the books that they have read of mine, and they go and they either email me, message me on Facebook, and let me know that they wrote the review, and I can go verify that they've done it. When this book comes out, I will send you a free e-copy of it.
Spectacular. So, after we're done here, can you send me a little Facebook note with the details of that so that
I can
post it to the page and let everybody know that that's what we're doing, and we can maybe help get some more reviews for you.
Yay!
I do have a question.
Go, Chelsea.
Where can we buy your book?
They are all on Amazon. The Narvan series is also in all. It's the Narvan series is through Ingram, so it's all over wherever you would normally buy books. My other books are all through Amazon though, so they're just on Amazon. They're
And then,
all ebook, they're all print. So
is this review promotion, is there like an expiration to it?
All the way, I go over to January of 2021. So the next 6 months.
Well, just given Amazon shipping, I don't want to like miss this promo. I write a review for every book I read.
Oh, awesome.
So don't worry.
And she's a voracious reader, so it really won't take her 6 months.
Right. I read about 200 books a year. So.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm too busy writing to read like
Exactly.
that.
Right.
Chelsea tag team writes with other people, or tag team reads with other people. They kind of do their own little book club together. So,
Fun.
yeah. So I know she's getting material for new books to read from our book festival this month.
Oh yeah, that's why I said I'm more excited to find books than to promote my own. It's like, oh
We
yeah,
like
I
you.
can participate it like by selling my book, but I can also participate by buying them.
You're supporting
and-
other authors. We love that.
That's kind of the point, right?
Yes.
We can make it sound pretty. Mostly it's just selfish, and I'm like, oh, books.
We're all similarly afflicted.
Yes.
So anybody else have any questions? Michael, Gabriel, I see you're out there. Any questions, comments, observations?
Just soaking it all in.
Yeah.
I'm with him.
I have a question. I have
Okay.
a question. Okay, so it's fantasy space opera, right?
The science fiction space opera. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how do you handle world building, since obviously you have to do world building on a whole different level because you see sometimes where it's really, really well done, and then you see sometimes where the first 2 chapters is just like info dump, info dump, info dump, and by that point I'm just
No one
completely
wants to read
zoned out.
that.
How do you handle that?
No.
No.
I write very character oriented, so it's all very filtered through the character, stuff that only influences what he's doing, what he's seeing, and I'm not a real like heavy description person. I don't like to read that. So I skim that stuff, so I don't write that stuff. I end up having to go back in after I'm done with a book and like, oh, I guess I should describe the room that they're in because they're just like 2 people talking in like a white space. Or, you know, the city. They're going to the city, you know, and so I have to describe
The
all
city.
those. Yeah, you know. So yeah, I have to do a lot of description later, but I try to keep it short, pertaining to exactly what they're doing, a little flavor here and there, but I don't like to do a lot of like, and then they ate this and that, and this big buffet, and yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually grown on the planet of such and such, which is the agricultural planet, which was founded in the, it's like, I don't care. I don't care.
Let me tell you about the history of their government too. That'd be great. No, I don't do that. I've read those books.
I remember, this has stuck with me for 35 years. High school, Farewell to Arms. I mean, 17, I counted 17 pages about lunch in a foxhole.
Yeah.
Really, do we care about that?
No. 2 sentences, that's all you need, really.
Yeah.
You know?
It was lunch, it was horrible. I almost got killed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it should all pertain to what's going on in the characters and flavored by their point of view. And that just keeps it, you know, really in the moment.
Right, absolutely. Anybody else? Just jump in, you guys. And this is, you know, huddling around a table, having a conversation. So feel free to, you know, be rude.
Have you had
utilize? Go ahead, Troy.
I was just saying, have you had a lot of people wondering about, like, asking questions about characters and just different descriptions of your backgrounds and planets and things? Do you get that type of questions where you can provide the feedback, or doesn't it get down to that granular level?
Like just readers coming up and asking me questions about the characters?
Yeah.
Not really. No, when I end up talking to readers, they're like, oh, I really liked this book. And then I'm like, okay, what'd you like about it? And they're like, oh, it was great. Okay.
Because that's something that I long for, is to have all the little details explained. Like, I guess an example would be Star Wars. Fans get really into this and that, and it's like, man, I would love
to find those fans.
Ask that about my stuff. Or I was just wondering if you had any experience with that.
Not necessarily. I've had, which is fun. I get some repeat buyers where I'll go to like one event early in the summer, and then I go to a completely different event in a different city in the fall. And like, oh, I saw you at what event, and I loved the book that I got there, so I want to get another book of yours, and
that's cool.
And that makes me feel so happy. But not to a point where they're like, you know, wanting to sit and examine, you know, characters of the plot, or I love the way that you work this in, or, you know, the things we'd really like to hear necessarily.
Yeah, what we want is lunch with critique without rejection.
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah. All the things you love. That'd be great. I'm waiting.
Yeah, we're all waiting. So most of us sitting around the table are author peoples, and those of us who aren't authors will be shortly. So just real quick, because this whole project I'm doing is in the spirit of give and gain support for each other. So I'd really love it if everybody could go around and start with Jean, and everybody say what the most impactful part or puzzle piece you've discovered to marketing. What's the thing that you found that helps you sell books more than anything else? Jean, you start.
Talking to people. You really need to just ask them questions, find out what they like to read, and then try to make, if what you write pertains even remotely to what they have said that they like to read, tell them about your whichever book pertains to what they like to read. And really just talking to them and asking them things and trying to work out a conversation as opposed to like, I wrote a book, you should read it, take it. Because that just doesn't work. People walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. Troy, you're next. Go.
I would have to say I've gotten a lot of feedback from my book trailers, so I think that's an important part of marketing. But like she said, word of mouth, people asking and you telling them about the books. I mean, there's not really a formula that I haven't found a formula yet that works for everything, but those are a couple of things that I would say would be my top ones.
Okay. What about you, Mark?
I'm going to go with Jean's comment about talking to people. And one of the things I will touch on is we both have done Muskegon's Lakeshore Art Festival 2 or 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a number of different genres being presented, whether it was mysteries, romance, or science fiction. And Jean was a big proponent of this, telling the other authors that'll be there, hey, find out what the guy next to you or the person on the other tent is doing, so that if you stop somebody as they're walking by and say, hey, do you like mysteries? And they go, oh, no, I can't stand mysteries. I'm looking for kids' books. Well, I can direct you right over here to a couple of people that are writing kids or young adults and vice versa. And we all help to self-promote and also to promote the other people that were there. That was very effective. And we had a blast doing that. And I always had a lot of fun in those events. I know there are some authors, Don Levin also writes mysteries from the Detroit area.
Mm-hmm.
We did a number of events together, and we would be selling each other's books. And sometimes I sold more of his than I sold of my own. I got a little.
Yeah.
That does happen. Yeah.
You know,
Don and I shared a table at an event, and we sold each other's books.
Yep.
I don't think I sold one of my books all day, but I sold like 70 of his. And then he did the same thing for me. I mean, it's just so easy when, you know, our community, the indie author community, I don't think is competitive. I think we're supportive. And it comes very naturally for the people in our community to sell other people.
Right.
So that would be my biggest thing is if you promote other people, that promotion will come back to you.
Yeah, and I think
Absolutely.
Jean said the same thing about talking to people, because there was one event that there was a guy that set up his table, sat on a chair behind his table of all his books, and never got off his butt.
Just
And sold nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he walks over to me and goes, how do you do that? I said, you got to get up, talk to people. Engage them as they're walking by. Trip them. Smack them in the head with a rock, something.
Smile at them.
Yeah.
I might have been the opposite, where I was like gone from my table a little too much and expected my wife to do the sales for me.
How'd that
No,
work?
I got to come back once in a while.
And Chelsea, what about you? I mean, I know you just published this past year, and with the lockdown, you didn't really get a chance to promote, but how's it been going for you so far?
Word of mouth has been pretty good. Like my friends, obviously friends of friends and coworkers. Actually, my work did a little book club with my book, which was really nice to see that support. So I can't really speak much on the marketing because I really haven't been out in the field. I haven't really tried it out yet. But as a consumer that frequents these book festivals and stuff, I can say that does, like the communication piece that you guys were just talking about, the networking, really as a consumer, that's what really wins me over, is the ones that, you know, I might have been interested in your book, but if you're just gonna like not bother to look up, not bother to say anything, I'm gonna move right along.
Right.
But I have noticed, again, like with the indie author community especially, you get like the few people that aren't, like, I feel like in their element maybe with selling, but for the majority of the majority of the field, I feel a lot of people are very friendly, just like having a conversation. They're not like pushy salespeople, which is nice. I think the last book festival I went to was the one at the Sterling Fest, that whole line of people, and like everybody like welcomed me like I was one of the family. And I wasn't even published yet. But they were like, oh, you have a book coming out? That's great. Welcome. Like, people are high-fiving me, congratulating me. And I think that is what, like, won me over. I'm more, like, likely to come to your table if you're going to be that welcoming, like, family aspect. So I think that's...
Absolutely. Yeah. Kate, what about you? You've been doing this for quite a while, and I know you do a lot with social media. Is that your biggest draw, or do you have other secrets I don't know about?
Well, I would say like 98% of my sales are online. And it's because I always say social media, you're not going to sell books on social media, but that's how you're going to build your tribe. So I have a 20-person street team that I sent out my latest book to, and they're on the day that it comes out, that's going to be 20 people that go out on their individual Facebooks or Twitters or Instagrams and just blast it for me. So that is definitely a good one. And then just don't put all your eggs in one basket. When I tell people I sell, the number one source of where I sell my books, number one is Amazon, and number two is Apple, which really blows people's minds when I tell them that. It blew my mind when I first saw how many books I had sold on Apple. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, but just think of as many avenues as you can and can feasibly do, and do it. Treat it like a business. You have to. It's if you want to make money, if you want to do it and not have it be a hobby, be hardcore on yourself and treat it like a business.
Jean, who just joined you?
Oh, this is Bitsy.
She looks like Charlie.
There's
Yes.
two of them now. Oh my God.
Oh, now Kate is having Jack Russell withdrawal. So
Big time.
The duck was picking on Bitsy, so I had to get her over here for a minute. The ducks like to go around and bite her tail.
Yeah. So Gabriel, tell us about your experience in marketing and sales. How's that been working out for you?
I haven't honestly sold that many. Basically just friends and family right now.
How long ago did you publish?
The first one was last March.
Okay.
And I made maybe like 200 off of it in total.
So you're still pretty new at this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Great.
So I don't really have much to add, to be honest with you, but just, I tell my friends about it and they tell people.
Oh my God, the duck.
And
Losing my mind here.
Diana doesn't do squirrel. She does.
I was just going to say,
Duck.
oh,
my
look,
God.
there's a squirrel.
Yeah. Me and ducks, I'm terrible. We take the dogs for a walk in the woods, and I'm looking at the ducks. It's terrible. Hey, Randy, are you out there? I don't see your picture, but I see your name. Are you out there?
I am here. Let's see if.
Yay! Hey, look, we can hear you.
Yep,
So-
you can hear me. I don't think you can see me though. My
No, can't see
I don't
you.
know if I'll sound with that, but yeah.
Join conversation a little bit. What are your experiences with promotion and sales, and can you lend a little bit of insight or recommendation about how to go about doing this?
Well, one thing I found was, well, two things in general. One is kind of what was mentioned before. You can't be shy when you're trying to sell your books. You can't be overly rude and pushy, for sure. I've known a couple of people who excel at being a little too pushy, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, like the very first event I ever did was my Writing at the Ledges group. We had our first book out, and we were at the Island Art Fair in Grand Ledge, and there was like 5 or 6 of us sitting at the table, and no one was saying anything. We're watching people walk by, going, "Hi, hello, hi," and that was it. And I began to realize, okay, let me just, hey, how's it going? Hey, do you like to read? What do you like to read? And just start talking to them, and then all of a sudden, then we sold books. It's like realizing all of us authors, generally speaking, are kind of introverted. Some of us are majorly introverted. So the whole shyness part of it is like you have to turn that off. You have to become that other guy or other girl and just be, out there. And that's a big one for me. But the other thing I found interesting is that when I put my third book out and started thinking about pricing a little bit, I found, I saw one book for $14. I would sell 2 for $12 each, or all 3 $10 each, which is $12, $24, or $30. And I found that once I started doing that, I had a little placard that said that, and people would be like, "Oh, well, I can get all 3 of your books for $30. Oh, geez, well, I'll totally do that." And I can believe how many times I would sell 2 or 3 books, or they would buy 2 of them. They pick up 2 of them, and I'd say, "Well, for just $6 more, you get all 3 of them." $6? Oh, I can't pass that up.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's like that 2 a.m. infomercial thing, and it's wacky because it works.
Yeah,
I
right.
fall for that every time.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Every time. I'm
Yeah.
like, all 3 books, I'm in.
Chelsea's great at festivals because literally she buys at every table she walks by. It's crazy.
Well, we
Love
have a
those
strategy.
people.
My friend and I have a strategy now. Like, we will walk the entire row. We each come up with a list. I'm like, okay, you buy these ones, I'll buy these ones, and then we read and exchange. So that way, we're still buying the same amount, but it's only half the cost.
and we get double the return. So
Yes, exactly. And then everybody still gets their money. You get your reviews, like, and I cheerlead the whole way. I'm like, yeah, go for it. Good for you.
Patty, I've never met you before. Do you have your mic on? Do you want your mic on? It's up to you. I've never met you before, so I'm not sure if you'd like to add anything to this conversation. And of course, Bailey, if you and Andy are there, I know you guys are just taking it all in. If you want to add something, feel free to jump in anytime you like. Randy, good to see your face again.
I found the button. I was excited. It was a button I got to hit. Who knew? I'm new at this too, by
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a
Technology.
how-to Zoom.
the way. Right, exactly.
Jeez, you know, I spent like 2 hours playing around with it and watching the tutorials, and I went, oh, can't be that complex. And then it takes me 10 minutes to log on. Crazy. So anybody else have anything to offer before we get ready? Because we're hitting here almost an hour. I'm so glad that so many people showed up and this is going so well. We got stuff to talk about. Anybody else have anything that they want to run past Jean or harass her about, or, you know?
I got a quick question for Troy. You mentioned you're doing book trailers
Yeah.
for your. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What you got to do, how you do it? Is it costly? Is it easy?
I do them all myself, so it's free.
Free is good.
But I did purchase some audio on my last one. And I mean, I can go more over my stuff on Saturday. I'm having one of these Zoom things on Saturday.
Yep.
I don't want to take away from Jean's thing, but yeah, I do it myself at a very low cost.
Yeah, and there are, if you go to the Facebook group page for the festival, 2 of his trailers are posted on the page, so you can take a look at them. And then when he has his Zoom gathering with us on Saturday, you'll be able to see them and ask questions specifically. Hey, look, Randy's got a friend. Hey, look, Gabriel's got a paw friend. I saw the tail earlier, Gabriel.
Gabe, show your, yeah.
There you go. Everybody's got friends. You
He's
can't
got
see
a lot
him,
of fur babies.
You can't see him, but Charlie's curled up on my lap. So, any last things for Jean before I ask her to talk about that promotion again?
I have one question.
Yeah, go Troy.
Question for you.
Go ahead.
Just it's one of those dumb questions, but it's always fun to ask. So, what is the favorite book that you've written?
Oh, there you go.
That's a
My
good
favorite
one.
book,
Yeah.
this one,
Oh, okay.
because I worked on it the longest,
Okay.
because it's the whole series. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely my favorite. It's my favorite character to play with because I know him so well because we've hung out for a very long time.
Cool. All right.
Awesome. Troy, what was your question,
Oh, I
comment?
was just wondering, on this new short story book that's coming out, are those recently written or were those around a while?
Within the past 5 years, some of them were stories I wrote. One was for the one on the cover, actually, is a story called Sipper. And that was accepted to an anthology, and it sat around for 2 years, and then the publisher closed. So it never got published. I had another one that I wrote for another anthology. It was a kind of a theme one an editor put together. And I wrote the story, and it got rejected, but I really liked it. And so I've been banging my head on the keyboard trying to figure out how to make it work differently, and basically rewrote the whole thing over the past couple of years and put that through my critique group. I've done, the rest of them were all stories I wrote for different prompts we had with our critique group, and really liked them. They went over really well. Everybody really enjoyed them. And the people I've sent it to so far really liked the collection. So I was really happy that it went over well.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's always
Yeah,
It's nice that you have a another one coming out within the other series, so you got multiple things going on.
Yeah, because
That is
some
really
people
neat.
don't like to get into a series. They like standalone stuff. My biggest selling book, honestly, is the short story collection, because people don't have time to read a full book sometimes, and so that's an easy sell for me, because people are like, oh, I don't have time to read. Well, what about a short story? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. I'm like, well, some of them are only like 2 pages, some of them are like 10, but you know, you can kind of pick which one works for the time you have, and that sells it almost every time. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I know I don't like to commit to series because I don't want to wait for the next book. I'm having that problem right now with Jacob Bullen. I read Unbound and he's working on the second book, and I'm like, can you hurry that along, please?
could you get on there? Which is why I wanted to have all 4 books done. So it wasn't going to be 5 years before the next one. I mean, they're all within 2-3 years, and they're all the whole series.
Yeah, because you saw how that worked for J.R.R. Martin.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Michael, anything to add?
No, not yet.
Okay.
If I stay on task, I'll have stuff for next time.
Perfect.
Talk about that.
Anybody else before we kind of wrap this up? No? Awesome. Jean, go over your promotion one more time for us.
One more time. Okay. Anyone who buys any of my books and writes a review on Amazon, a Goodreads too for bonus, but if you write a review on Amazon, email me, message me on Facebook. It's Jean Davis Author on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere you can contact me, really. Let me know you've done it. If I can verify it when this book comes out at the end of the month or beginning of next, I will email you an ebook copy for free.
And just because this is currently being recorded, and I'm going to throw it up on my YouTube channel after I get it converted, because, you know, we want to create this so everybody who didn't have a chance to come to these meetings can actually watch these things. You don't necessarily have to write a positive review, correct?
Not necessarily. I mean,
Okay,
it'd be awesome. You know?
Well, yeah.
Yes, a review. And
Stay home.
anytime between June to the end of December. So
Right.
yes.
Well, I know, Randy, you and I have talked about this before. It's really more about the review, not necessarily about getting our ego stroked. We as authors need feedback, good,
Right,
bad, or
exactly.
indifferent. We just want to hear back what people think.
Oh yeah, and it's just so frustrating how many things we've written, how many people, I've gotten so many emails, oh, I loved your book. Well, Kate, could you possibly go on to, hello?
Review? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, they're gone.
yeah, pretty please.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks everybody for coming in. I really appreciate you allowing me to stumble through this craziness. And we are going to do this again. I think I have one of these scheduled for, let me double check the calendar real quick, but I believe there is one scheduled for every day of the month, not, oddly enough, June 28th, which is a Sunday, but every other day during the month of June at various times, we have these live indie author gatherings here on Zoom. So check the Facebook event page, the virtual book festival page for Pages Promotions. Check that out. And the whole list of the events and dates and times and everything is in there. Links so people can come back. And I'd love to see all of you come back. I know that, 30 of these things is a lot, but I'd love it as often as you guys can come back. Tell all your friends, come and see us. And
Mark's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Mark is tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to poke his brain tomorrow.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming. Jean, thank you so much for being the guinea pig.
No
I
problem.
really appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me.
And, yeah, one more time, do you have a duck nearby?
Good talk.
Oh, you can call your duck? Wow.
See? Ducks. Thanks
Wow.
everybody for
He's gonna fly now.
Jean, thanks for your time. Good luck with your books.
Thank
And,
you.
Nice to see everybody.
and watch the Facebook page. And
I'll be
have
rushing
it
to Amazon
recording.
right now to go buy it.
Awesome. So we're going to post this onto the
Right now.
YouTube channel, so watch for that when that gets released. So thanks everybody for coming. I really appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thank you all.
Take care.